see if we have begun yet. All right. We do appear to be live. Yay. People are here to do the crafting and the bitching. Okay, let's get started. Hello, everybody in the comments. You are on top of today's agenda, aren't you?
Hello.
Welcome to the first Stitch and Bitch of 2026. How many years have we been doing this now?
Since 2019.
Yeah, this is coming up year 7.
Yeah.
Wow. So yeah, it's January, it's a new year, and things are kind of terrible. We're going to go around and introduce ourselves really quickly, and then we're going to address the world, and then we will get into our usual agenda. So I will go first. I'm Rachel. This is my channel, Colonati. You probably know me because you're here. I read lots of science fiction, fantasy, and nonfiction, and I do a lot of stuff with fiber and yarn. So that's my life. Kelsey.
I'm Kelsey. I'm the Fancy Hat Lady Reads here on YouTube. I am wearing pajamas today. I read fantasy and science fiction almost exclusively. And Rachel, when you said we're going to address the world, my mind went to like address the world.
We're going to address
the entire world. I'm like, I'm not dressed to address the world. I'm only dressed to address our Stitch and Mitch fans.
We have our first cat.
Oh,
Leia.
It's our general.
No shark collar today.
No, so that Ray is referring to Leia had a surgery earlier this month, and to keep her from licking her wound, I got her a shark donut, and I sent a photo to our group chat, and it is very cute.
And she looked spectacular in it,
a
true fashion icon.
She was so mad about having that collar on. But no, the incision is mostly healed. It still has a little scabbing, but at this point, she doesn't need it.
Good girl.
Anyway, I'm Diana. My channel's Bookish Di. I also read science fiction, fantasy, but I also read a lot of nonfiction as well.
Sorry, did we conclude introducing you, Kelsey?
Yes.
I lost the plot there for a minute.
Oh, I waited.
We got excited about the cat.
Yeah. Rhea.
Hi, I'm Rhea. My channel is The Bookfinch, where I host my share of the Stitch and Bitches. And I read plenty of fantasy, science fiction, and especially manga, and also a hell of a lot of depressing nonfiction. But considering the state of the world, it seems quite uplifting, given the things that are happening. Which brings us, I guess, to the state of the address.
Yes, yeah. I think we have all felt a little bit awkward getting started with a live show, given the times we're like, what are we even doing? Just resuming our normal lives and our normal schedule while, the U.S. is not in a good place right now, both because of politics and, state-sanctioned murder in Minneapolis, also Snowmageddon this weekend. So it's a lot.
I'm in New York City right now. We are in the midst of our Snowmageddon. I understand it came for other people further west yesterday, and today I've literally got the snow like blowing up against my window in these huge bursts here as I sit here. So yeah.
While we're in the middle of a drought, this has been an extremely dry January.
It's been very dry in the Midwest as well. So I have to say I'm enjoying the weather, but I don't have to get out in it. It's just really, really cold. So hopefully everybody else is doing okay. Yeah. And if you're out east, I hope you don't have to drive anywhere for a while.
Yeah, but in terms of what's happening in Minneapolis, our 5th member, Bree, is there, and our thoughts are with her. And we also wanted to highlight a collection of resources that a community member in Minneapolis put together. It's the Stand with Minnesota Donation Directory. It's a collection of mutual aid funds, so things like rent relief, food support, pet and animal support, crowdfunding, as well as donation links for organizations that are doing direct service, jail support, immigration support, the groups that are working together to combat what is going on in their city.
And similarly, another thing that we would like to highlight, considering that USA is currently essentially experiencing what is called an imperial boomerang, and all of these atrocities with like authoritarian and imperialist colonial regimes are all linked together. I would like to also highlight the European Citizens Petition for essentially pressuring the EU to halt the Israel trade agreement. So if you are an EU citizen that has turned 16 years old, you can sign this petition. And I would urge you to, like, if you can, share it with any EU or like European citizen you might know, because we need all the signatures that we can get, especially in Finland. We are now missing approximately 1,000 signatures. Finnish people need to put in 10,000 signatures, and we're missing 1,000 right now. So.
The other thing I would recommend folks do is check in with your local community, because what's happening in Minneapolis isn't a standalone thing. It is happening all around the United States. So check in, get involved with your local mutual aid, see if there's any legal observer workshops or organizations that are doing trainings, see if you can get whistles, check in with your neighbors. The only people who are going to save us are us. So we're all in this together. And the policy of this live show is fuck ICE, abolish ICE, fuck the IDF.
Yes. All of that.
Yeah.
And also this is as good a time as any to mention that also these kinds of community building, like for example what we do in this live show, like rest and like this kind of group activity is also really important to just kind of like get your mind for a moment to rest from all the horrible shit, just so we can go back in and fight. So it's like active rest is important, and active participation in this kind of like community is really important. So like talk, as Dai said, talk to your neighbors, like get to know people around you. Like as long as we're like isolated in these like social media bubbles and all of this kind of stuff, you need to be present in our we need to be present in our physical realities and like get to know people around us. But
Yep.
yeah.
All right. The links to Stand with Minnesota and the EU petition are both in the live show description, and I put it in the chat if you were looking for them after the fact in the recording. So. All right. It seems that other people are also thinking it's a pajama live show day. So, Kelsey, you are in good company. I would also be in pajamas, but I don't have as fancy of pajamas as you do. So, I mean, raise your hand if you would never have guessed that Kelsey was wearing pajamas unless she told you.
I love that Kelsey looks like she's in this like old-timey dressing gown. Like,
I mean, that's why I own these pajamas, because I want to feel like I'm in an old-timey dressing gown.
Especially with the quilt, the quilt on the background.
Good cozy vibes.
you look like you're the world's most disapproving auntie.
Not disapproving.
Disapproving of authoritarianism.
Yeah, there you go.
My other cat.
Second kitty. Look.
Oh, second cat appearance.
The void.
Oh, I can see
I
his
just see his
eyes.
eyes.
I like Hermes saw me put the lights on, and he was immediately
He's like,
shenanigans
"You, I'm
are
out."
afoot. I'm
He
out.
knows. He knows.
He's very savvy.
Hi, buddy.
Where did Sunshine get off to? Because
She's on her cat tree looking at the snow.
okay, we are much less
Shall I
interested.
summon her? Let me know when I should summon her. Don't let me forget.
Whenever you feel like it, we need more cats. But so yeah, that was our discussion on the state of the world. Feel free to contribute your own thoughts about the state of the world and how you are coping. That's what we are here for. Let's talk about what we are crafting before we get into bitching. Well, hopefully not too much about what we've been reading, but anyway. Rhea, do you want to start off with what you're making or working on?
Yes, I started a new thing. So this is going to tackle like a couple of things at the same time. So I am making a crocheted rug. This is going to be a rug for my kitchen. It's basically just single crochet, and I'm making it from t-shirt scraps. So I went through all of my wardrobe. There's a funny story, or actually a sad story that's in hindsight funny. I experienced what is called a mothpocalypse, where there was a moth infestation in my yarn stash.
Oh no.
I lost about 50% of all the yarn I had accumulated over the years, thanks to moths and their larvae, and went on a rampage to purge my purge the moths from my residence, which then meant that I needed to go over all of my textiles, launder everything, get cedar wood chips, lavender, all of that stuff. It's been a mess. And I'm still paranoid whenever I see the fluttering of something somewhere, that is it a moth or is it just dust? Anyway, turns out that I had a lot of t-shirts, and I knew that I wouldn't be wearing a lot of them, and some of them were falling apart, and I don't want them to end up in beaches in Ghana. So I decided that I was gonna scrap them for essentially yarn. So now I'm making rugs.
Nice.
And this is like this kind of cotton yarn that I'm using. So essentially this is stash busting. I'm going to be using only yarn that I already own. No new things are going to be bought for this project. And I'm trying to make like a 2-meter rug. So at some point this will be very heavy for me to actually hoist. I think it's like 1 meter wide. It's hopefully going to replace the awful plasticky rug that I have in my foyer, or then it's going to the bedroom. Who knows? But it's going to be a rug.
Nice.
You want to go next, Di?
Sure. So I am taking a break from the shawl I was working on last time because one of my good friends had a baby, and this was actually ideally going to be done before she had the baby, but the baby came early. But it's just it's the Pearl Soho tumbling blocks pattern.
Oh,
So it's very easy to knit. I'm using the merino yarn from Knit Picks because you can wash it delicate and then lay it flat to dry, which yarn that you can wash is good for a baby.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
So this is knitting up pretty quick, so I'm hoping to get it done in the next week or so and then send it to her.
Very cool. I like a lot of Pearl Soho's like blanket and shawl patterns. They got very classic stuff.
Yeah.
Kelsey, are you working on anything?
I am not, but I will summon the cat now. What treat do you want? Let's give you this one.
All of them. She wants all the treats.
Just one of each, please. Oh, there she is.
You should have seen my face when I came home today, and I had forgotten to take Hermes morning meal to melt to defreeze in the fridge. the night before, and I opened the fridge with the purpose of I'm gonna feed the cat, and there is no cat bowl in the fridge, and I was
How
like, oh
could
no,
you?
I fucked up.
Oh no.
And then I look at him, and he looks at me, and I can see in his eyes that there's the
Real.
betrayal. And then I had to use like this, you know, the hot water, like putting the bowl and the meatballs in a bowl, and then putting the bowl in the hot water so that it will melt faster. And the entire time, Herman's like, if a cat could tut you, he was tutting me with his eyes.
Deception. Display.
Why would you bring Lion King 2 into this?
It's a great movie with great music.
Most incredible music reference for you to have pulled out of some.
Also, that movie had no right to have that banger of a soundtrack. remember-
I was so obsessed with it at a certain
I
point.
remember when I was a kid, I probably watched Lion King 2 more than I watched Lion King.
It was a good.
Oh yeah, me too. Me too.
As direct to video Disney sequels go, that one was top tier. That one was really good.
Yeah.
Yeah, it had James Marsden. Like, I figured later, it had James Marsden as the voice of Kovu. And Neve Campbell, who did Scream.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, I watched it with the Finnish dub originally, but when I first watched the English dub, I was already an adult, and I was like, "Is that James Marsden? Like, what is this?"
It's all gone. You finished it. Done.
Says, no, not while I can smell it.
It's all done. That was my craft for the day.
Sunshine says no, more. Give me more.
I have performed my craft and now it is over.
Oh, bye, sunshine. Oh, she's
Also-
back.
Also, I will want to show you my nails, because these were inspired by the new Guillermo del Toro Frankenstein movie.
Oh, nice.
Specifically, the dress Elizabeth wears and all the bugs that she likes. These are the thumbs.
Mm-hmm.
Focus. Anyway,
There. Good.
some nice things. Also, support your local small businesses, like your nail techs or your hairdressers and all of this kind of stuff. If you can afford, always shop local rather than multi-billion-dollar corporations if you can.
Yes. I guess I'm last. I am knitting cables. So, this is my second deep winter coat by Wool and Pine. This one is in a dark gray, my other one's in a dark brown, and it's coming along very quickly. But doing chunky cables, like with chunky yarn, is really hard on the hands. I'm gonna get this done though, because it's pretty fast knit. All right. What have people been saying in the chat? I need to catch up with y'all. Somebody is working on a hat.
Yay, hat!
Hats.
'Tis the season. Hats.
It's always the season for hats. Maybe not always the season for knit hats, but
Yeah, that's where I was gonna go with that. But on the other hand,
I do think there's always a season for knit hats as well, because you can knit hats from various different fibers.
you could also have a really lacy hat.
Yeah, exactly, exactly.
Yeah. I don't know. Yep. I have somebody who is stitching. Oh, sun hat season.
Mm.
All right.
Burn for sun hat season.
All right. shall we talk about what we've been reading?
Yeah, let's do that.
Okay, who thinks they have the most to talk about first?
I might. Well, it's mostly because I read a lot towards the end of December.
I don't have a whole lot. Like, I'm reading a lot at the moment, but I haven't finished a lot, so
I did.
probably.
I finished a couple of things at the end of December after our last live show, and I've already read 9 things in January. So
Yeah, I'm nowhere
Oh.
there. I mean, I can start. I have a feeling that I'm probably the least read individual in the currently.
Go forth. Tell us about it. And
Okay.
are there any webtoon updates?
There are no webtoon updates currently, because I'm only reading the one, and it or have only been reading the one, and it has been on hiatus now because the author is taking the time. What do they say always in Manta? There's like, in order to bring you the most quality story, the author is now taking a hiatus, which usually means we burnt the author out.
Yeah.
And they're now taking an extended sick leave. So no webtoon update, but I finished a few things. So you might remember that previously I had been reading A Rebellion of Care by David Gate. So I have now completed it, finished it this month, and gave it 4.25 stars, essentially. That, like, there are some poems here that I will go back to. I basically did the unthinkable, and I actually dog-eared all of the pages where I have my favorite poems so that I can quickly search them, like off the top of my head. Do I have a short one here? This poem is called Insatiable. The most difficult part of helping the poor is not calling for the hungry to be fed, but for the wealthy to be content. And ain't that the entire thesis of this book? It's essentially, these poems are all about community building and, you know, reconnecting with nature, and also celebrating difference. And there's also fantastic essays in this collection. So would highly recommend, especially if you are like, if you're someone who essentially kind of wants to, at the same time, decompress and touch grass, this is an exemplary collection.
Yeah.
For that.
I will add as well, David Gate is on Instagram, and if you follow him there, you can get a good taste for a lot of the poetry. And he posts a lot on Substack with stuff that's addressing what's currently going on as well, which I have enjoyed reading quite a bit.
Yes. And then the other things that I read, I finished But Not Too Bold by Hachepuya.
What did you think of that one?
I quite liked it. I will say, I wanted it to be longer. Like, I do think that this would have been, like, I wanted it to be a full novel, so that it would have actually, like, been able to, like go at a slower pace and really delve deeper into the psychology and the, like, the horror aspects. Because now I felt like I got a taste. I got a delicious little morsel, like a freebie, and I wanted more. Like, I wanted to be more in that world, and especially because, like, I felt like there was such good build-up at the beginning, and then at the end everything just kind of got, like, it was kind of like the ending was like, okay, and we're done. And that kind of, like, took me out a little bit, because I was hoping for something that was on par with the beginning of the book. So essentially this is a monster romance in quotation marks, because this monster is actually quite horrific and doesn't think like people. If you have arachnophobia, I'm sorry.
Yeah, don't read it if you're afraid.
This book is filled with spiders. and
Is it
spidery
for the
things.
Spiders in the fun way, like in a science fiction Adrian Tchaikovsky way?
No, it is.
No, in I will eat you and I am a spider, essentially kind of a spider anglerfish type of thing. So you know how you have like a fake like anglerfish have the light to lure in stuff. Well, this is a kind of spider creature who has a kind of womanish shape that's human-ish, but then when you get close you realize that you're actually in the presence of a real horrific monster who will eat you if you say the wrong thing,
Okay, no.
and who's also a lesbian.
Unfortunately, it does not counteract the arachnophobia, but
Yeah.
cool.
But I will say it was really nice, and the imagery is like really lush. Like if you I feel like if you liked Mexican Gothic, I think this has the same kind of lush, vibrant imagery.
Yeah, but I don't have a
it's very
phobia of
much
mushrooms.
but it very much has this Lovecraftian elder horror element to it.
Okay.
So would recommend, but it's a go at your own risk.
Spiders in the Cuddly Werner Vinge way? I don't remember that. What book is that?
There is no cuddle. There is no cuddle here.
Yeah, it is.
It is. It also is kind of like a Bluebeard retelling in a way. So
Would you say its primary genre is horror?
It's more gothic.
It's like gothic romantic horror. But I would say that horror is a big theme. But for myself it wasn't too scary. It's gory. I will say that it's gory.
Okay.
Or like mildly gory. Yeah. Your mileage may vary.
But it very much do not read if you are afraid of spiders.
Yeah. The spider thing is very graphically like you will get in, like I had to look up parts of the spider anatomy that was referenced because I did not have that vocabulary in English. So I needed to look it up, what is being referenced, and I saw a lot of pictures that I did not think I needed to see about spider things. So anyway, it was good. And then the final thing that I finished before I get to what I'm currently reading, I read N.D. Stevenson's Scarlet Morning, and I really liked it.
Yeah, I've been curious about that one.
Yeah, I really liked it. I gave it 4 stars. First of all, it has a very good exploration of like an enemies to friends situation, where these characters are kind of forced together in a situation where they kind of have to survive together, and then their relationship kind of develops there. It also talks about like stuff like abandonment and feelings of abandonment and feelings of purpose and sense of self for a middle grade audience. And obviously it is fully illustrated, and N.D. Stevenson is like a really good illustrator. So this is like very like visually appealing as well. I will say about the age categories, I don't know who this book is for. Like, who would I recommend this book for? Because there's a lot of death in it. Like, people die.
I feel like with middle grade, like you do have death. It's just how graphic it is.
Yeah, it's not super graphic, but there is death and murder. There's also like I feel like it's funny because this is like also an eldritch horror kind of story in a way. There's like a lot of these creepy kind of otherworldly things happening that are kind of horrific. Like, but it's not like a horror thing, but there's definitely horror elements to it. Mm-hmm. I really liked it. I will say it ends very abruptly and is definitely at least trying to vie for a sequel. I'm not sure if a sequel is coming, but there's no the book ends without like resolving at least 3 major plot lines.
Oof.
Oh, I was hoping it would be a standalone because I would like
No,
to get into that.
no standalone. It resolves only 1 major plot line, but like the other things that are like set up, like none of those are solved. So I think it's like at least getting a sequel. I should hope.
I
because
hope so.
Because when I read it and I got to the last page, it felt like I was Zuko in Avatar: The Last Bender. Wait, where's the rest of it? Like, what is going on? But yeah, would recommend. It was really good. And then to the books that I'm currently reading, let's start with the one that I'm considering maybe DNFing. I'm at page 75, The Silence Factory by Bridget Collins.
So I do think that author's a TERF.
Oh, I have
Oh,
not
no.
looked. Here's the thing. I only got this because like I saw this at the library
Yeah, I think
and I looked at the cover.
if I'm remembering right, what Goldsboro I think was doing it as one of like their special editions, and people were talking about how the author like
Ooh.
was a TERF.
Here's the thing. That's always a risk with British authors. Like, ugh. See, now I'm.
Yeah, I would say DNF.
Yeah, right now I'm kind of like in the middle of it, like in the middle of kind of wondering whether I should, because it actually is exploring queer themes, especially like kind of repressed homosexuality, and I'm not sure how I feel about it, because I'm not sure it's doing it in a constructive way, let's say. But yeah, it's essentially a book about, what's the word? Brits go to Greek island, steal a bunch of shit, as they do, and then try to profit off the stuff they steal, and there are horrible magical consequences. And I have gotten to the less than 1/3, and I'm contemplating on, not continuing. And let's put it this way, that that was not an endorsement that I am willing to put myself through further reading of this. But that's good to know. Authors who are not TERFs, hopefully. I'm reading Moon of the Turning Leaves by Wobke Shigrais. And this is the sequel to, oh my god, brain.
Like the Moon of Crushed Snow.
Yeah. Moon of the Crusted Snow, yeah. Because I never remember if it is the moon of the thing, but I remember the Crusted Snow part, which I buddy read with Rachel, and it was fantastic when we read it together.
Mm-hmm.
And this is a completely different kind of story, because like Moon of the Crusted Snow is all about this isolationist horror, whereas this is more of a survival travel novel. And it's really interesting, kind of like in this post-apocalyptic world where there's no electricity, people have lost contact with each other, there's no radio, there's no phones, nothing. There's been essentially a global blackout. And there's this indigenous community that's basically like has started to move from the old reservation to the bush, and is basically living for the first time like kind of a sovereign existence. And then in this book they're kind of like having to relocate because of like the natural resources around their village kind of starting to diminish. And then the final thing that I am currently reading is Doppelganger by Naomi Klein.
I'm curious about that one. I think I have an ebook copy of it.
So I'm about 50 pages in, so not too far in. But this is so far really interesting because like this obviously starts with the connection that Naomi Klein has with another Naomi Wolf, who is a notorious anti-vaxxer, neoliberal shill, and also a TERF, very reductionist, very white woman feminist. She became famous in the early 90s, kind of like during the third wave feminism movement, very not intersectional. And the thesis of this book is essentially that Naomi Klein, who is kind of embodying a completely opposite political viewpoint and ideals, consistently got mistaken for Naomi Wolf to the essentially detriment of her career in a way. And then she starts to kind of deconstruct this kind of doppelganger experience of what it does to your sense of self when you consistently get mistaken for a person who represents things that you do not align with at all. And then she extrapolates from that to talk more widely about how this kind of doppelganger existence also exists for political entities and like states. For example, as an example, United States being at the same time democracy, the land of the free, you know, this kind of thing, the brand image of the US, while also being an imperial force that is extracting resources and like staging coups in vulnerable countries. So so far it's actually pretty interesting. And those are the things that I'm reading.
There's an echo.
Yeah, I hear it as well.
I'm not hearing it. Does that mean it's me?
It might be
Probably.
you.
What do I need to do to make it stop?
I would check your audio inputs and outputs and make sure there's like not.
Well, do you have your laptop on like a smooth surface? Because it might be bouncing the sound back as well.
No, it is on a blanket right now.
Hmm.
Could it be me? I don't hear an echo now though.
Yeah, it went away.
Yeah. Oh well.
I should be using the microphone from my webcam.
Hmm. Yeah, it does seem to be gone now.
Kiera says it's gone now.
Okay.
We'll deal.
If it happens again, let me know and I'll maybe switch which microphone I'm using.
Yeah. I guess the next person who has read the next least amount.
It's not me.
Is it me? I
You're
have
making me go last, aren't you?
Probably.
since our last stream, I finished 5 books. Does that mean it's me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. The last 2 books I read in December were for a reading challenge I was trying to finish. They were East by Edith Patu, which is an East of the Sun, West of the Moon retelling from like
early 2000s.
2003. Yeah.
I remember when that book was published. I remember pulling it off of the new bookshelf in the YA section and reading it. Like, I don't know, it takes me back.
This is one I never read when it was published, but I've known it existed for like years and years and years. I thought it was okay. I thought it was fine. It strikes me as like the writing didn't strike me as particularly sophisticated in any way. Like the tone of it was a little flat. It never really totally gripped me. But I am glad to have read it. I don't know. Like I've gone back and read a number of, older fairy tale retellings that I've missed throughout the years. And this is one that I'm now glad I've read, but don't feel like I need to shove at people who didn't read it when they were kids or teenagers. This was fine. And then the book that I was reading during our last stream that we talked about because Di had read it was Mad Sisters of Essie by Tashan Mehta. I ended up giving this 4 stars. I really liked it. There were parts of this that I think would have made it a 5-star. Like, there were 5-star bits of this book for me. And it felt like it just dragged in the middle, like it was too long in the middle.
Yeah, it definitely was one where I think I'm not.
But like
sure
the
what-
beginning and the end were incredible.
Yeah, it definitely was one where I think it needed some editing to tighten up the middle section.
Or, you know, I could have done either way, either with like, as you say, tightening up the middle section, or like part of it is just that I really enjoy the bits of the book that kind of take things non-chronologically and give you odd bits of stuff mixed in. And that middle section is just sort of one story in one place for a really long time. And like, you could have added stuff and that would have done the same thing for me. But this is a very, very cool book. It's very weird. Very, you know, I feel like it's very quote worthy. There were plenty of places where I stopped and was just like, ooh, that is like, a cool thought, a cool sentence.
Like, thinking about it, it's one where it's in consideration for me to nominate for the Hugos because I
don't think it's eligible because it was originally published in English in India.
Oh.
So this isn't its first English publication. That was in 2023. Yeah, if it were eligible, I would be nominating it. But I don't think it is. Correct me if I'm wrong about Hugo rules. I don't think I am, but I have
I think the first English language publication
been
has
known to be wrong about Hugo rules in the past.
I feel like Hugo rules do their best to be complicated.
Oh yeah.
Necessarily.
I mean, there's that whole thing like potential. Is it correct me if I'm wrong? But isn't it so that like if a book is published, let's say in Finnish, it would also be eligible, like if a book published last year in Finnish, it would also be eligible for Hugos essentially because there's technically no language restriction.
Yeah.
And it could be potentially eligible again with the English translation.
Yes. That is my understanding.
Yeah.
But yeah, because it was originally published in 2023 in English in India, I don't think Mad Sisters of Essie is eligible.
Ew.
And then we were in January, and what I've read in January. Okay. So we were last stream. We were talking about the Doctrine of Labyrinth series by Sarah Monette. I've now read the 3rd book, The Mirador, and we didn't have Rhea last time. Rhea is the one of us who's read the whole series that I am only now reading.
I've read the whole
series twice. Okay.
Yes. Here's the thing. History. I got to know Sarah Monette from LiveJournal. She had posted the first 2 chapters of Virtu, the 2nd book, which I read, and then immediately went and purchased as a wee, I think, 18-year-old. I got the Doctrine of Labyrinth books, and then I had to wait for the publication of Melusine and Corambis. So I was very OG. And then I read them like, I think...
Wait, Melusine is the first one.
Melusine is the first one. So yes. I read the sample of Virtu, the second, like the first chapter of Virtu, and I had no idea what was going on.
Because those first 2 books are very much like...
They're split in the middle. Yeah, they're split in the middle. It was originally written as one book.
The first 2 books are one story arc.
Yep.
And then
It was written as one book, and then publisher like
That's what it
split
feels.
it
That
in the
is
middle.
what it feels like.
Yeah.
And that second book, like, really, you need to read it right after you finish book one, because if you forget things, you'll be so lost.
I have all of those books in hardcover. I could be rich if I sold them.
The third book picks up 2 years later.
Yes.
And it is structurally fascinating, as I sort of feel like all of her books are. You really have no idea what the plot is until the end, because you now have 3 point of view characters, because Mehitabel gets POV chapters in this one. And so you have Mildmay, who I love, Felix, who I hate, and now Mehitabel, who I ended up feeling kind of neutrally about. I wanted to love her. I only felt okay about her. Anyways.
Here's the thing. I remember when I read the books for the very first time, and I hated Mehitabel. I hated her. I hated her so much. But then as an older person, when I reread the thing, I was and I had, you know, all the context and stuff, then it felt like, you know, she was a less like I don't know, there was something about her where I felt
anxious about her espionage situation in this book. So, like, I was anxious for her and for the people around her, but
as a teenager, my Mehitabel hate came from the fact that as a teenager, I felt very protective of Mildmay.
Well, yes,
and I felt like the whole Mehitabel, like the things that she was doing was like putting Mildmay at risk. So I was like feral.
Felix is much worse at that.
Oh, but Felix, you expect it. With Felix, you're like, I have no hope for you. You're like insufferable, and you're like, in all the ways, you are always bound to do the wrong thing. So I have no expectation that you're ever going to be anything but you. Whereas with Mehitabel, I was kind of hoping that surely she would have Mildmay's back. And then it's like,
I mean,
maybe I know.
She's nowhere near as bad as Felix. But
she suffers by way of, like, you know, having the expectation that since Felix is so bad, we need someone to be good. But in this series, there's like everyone is a little bit irredeemable.
She is good. She's just not good for Mildmay.
Yes.
What?
She very much is like I feel like if you are expecting a specific type of heroine, Mehitabel, and this is probably like when I first read the books, is that I was expecting a specific type of heroine based on my then understanding of all the fantasy that I had read.
It to be a romance, for example, it is not a romance.
Yes. That's why, as an adult rereading it, I was much more, you know, okay, this is what it is.
It struck me in this book in particular that in this series, Sarah Monette is very interested in the sexual and romantic relationships between her characters, but she's more interested in why they end.
Yes.
As opposed to why the characters get together, why the relationships don't work.
Yes.
So, like, this was definitely, you know, it felt like one of the major themes of the book is like breakups and why they happen.
I would also say that she's not necessarily interested in the sexual and romantic relationships of the characters, but more as how the sexual politics of the characters. Because all of these characters essentially, maybe excluding Mildmay, but he also, I think, gets entangled with people who use him and exploit him. So I feel like it's like every single character in the books kind of leverages their sexuality as a political tool. And I think that's what Sarah Monette is actually really interested in investigating in these books.
Well, in this book in particular, we have two like maybe romances that start in the previous book that both end in this one for like and if you were expecting either of those relationships to be like end game relationships, like I'm very upset about the character death that happened.
No spoilers for
No, there is a character death that happens. Very upset about that. Anyways, I'm not gonna say who.
I will also say that, Kiara, if you are adding this series to your TBR, just a heads up that the first book does start with a quite a graphic sexual assault or ritualistic sexual assault. These books were written in like the 2006-ish, 2006 to 2010. So
it's a lot.
It's very much a product of its time, while at the same time breaking some very interesting ground and like tackling with, like it's at the same time manages to be a product of its time while subverting many of the things that were problematic during that time of fantasy writing. And also Sarah Monette is just a very interesting author. Like she does not half-ass
there is a lot that
anything.
I sort of viscerally dislike about these books, mostly Felix. But yes, I continue to be extremely compelled by them because she is a very interesting writer. Even when she's writing characters, I want to strangle Felix.
It's funny. Even when she's writing characters, I want to strangle, and it's just Felix. Because it's true. I can't even contradict you.
No.
And I say this as some like Felix Harrogate is one of my favorite characters, and I hate his guts.
I understand.
I absolutely detest Felix, but in terms of like characterization, like he is such an interesting character, like his psychology and the way he like
every single time he promises he's maybe going to be a smidge better and then he just doesn't.
And the thing is that he promises he's gonna be better, and then he kind of is better from the understanding of what Felix views as better, which usually is not better from the point of view of any of the other characters. But what he considers to be like, I have redeemed myself. And I was like, you would think that. You specifically would think that. Like from a character psychology perspective, he's like a really interesting character. But if I talk about like,
and I hate reading about him so much.
But Mildmay is the true like heart of the series. Like if Mildmay did not exist, those
why
books,
would you
like,
read it if Mildmay didn't exist?
Exactly. Mildmay is the heart of those books. Like he is.
And this book does a lot delving into like Mildmay's trauma. Like the first two books, I feel like were all about Felix's trauma. And this one, you get a lot of like Mildmay sort of unpacking his own trauma from his years as the city's most feared teenage assassin. And like we learn a lot about his past that we don't know in the first two books, and it's very interesting. But yeah, structurally, the plot, where I was going with this, for the first like 80% of the book, you have all of these characters who are like plucking at different plot threads and mysteries, trying to uncover different bits of information. You have no idea which, if any, of these bits of information that these characters are digging after is going to end up being relevant to anything else. And so it's very hard to know where the plot of the book is coming from until at a certain point where it starts to like click near the end, and then it's a sort of big catastrophic ending. Yeah, I really did think I was going to get around to the last book before this live stream, and we could talk about the whole second half of the series. I've not done that.
That just means we can talk about it next time when you have finished
talk
it.
about it next time. And then I read Whiskey Jack by Victoria Goddard, which is the third book in the Green Wing and Dart series. I didn't like this one individually as much as I liked the previous book. Bee Sting Cake is still my favorite in the series so far. These are also structurally very interesting, but in a totally different way. These books are absolute whimsical chaos.
I can't wait.
This is like how much totally random, whimsical, life-threatening chaos can occur to this one poor guy in this one small town. How many cults are there in the woods? How many secret societies? Who's getting sacrificed to the elder gods this time?
Wow, is this like the fantasy version of Midsummer Murder or something? Like,
I don't know. I haven't seen Midsummer Murders.
You have not seen
No.
Midsummer Murders?
No.
How have you managed?
Anyways, there is a point at which the amount of chaos happening gets frustrating to me in this one because it gets in the way of like a big emotional character reunion that is happening in this book that is like what I was more interested in. But this book started to actually answer some of the questions from book one, because book one left so many questions because there were so many mysteries and none of them got solved. And here we're starting to actually get some of the answers from the absolute chaos that was book one. But we still have many, many more questions. So I will continue to read this series. It's delightful. And then I read Witch Hat Atelier Volume 5. I waited too long because the last volume, Volume 4, ended in the middle of a scene, and I had sort of forgotten what was happening in that scene when it started back up again at the beginning of this one. And because I'm getting them from the library, I couldn't like go back and see how did we get to this point. But I think I picked it up all right, and hopefully I will get to Volume 6 faster than I got to Volume 5. This was charming. This was beautiful, beautiful art as always.
I will say the art book has come out.
Oh.
And can you tell that some of us are very enthused? If I find it, I will show you the picture of Olruggio that is drawn with him in a yukata, and he's wearing Crocs.
it's great.
It's great if I can find it. Carry on while I do.
What I have started reading now is The Bewitching by Silvia Moreno Garcia. I am loving the vibes of this so far, but it's been slow for me to get into because I've been super distracted and not reading.
I will be interested in your thoughts on that because I have it out from the library and I need to read it before the end of the month. So, yeah.
I found it. Look at him in his Crocs. His Crocs.
Okay, so we've caught up to what I'm reading right now, and now I'm done. Who's next?
Give me just 1 second. I think I fucked up an iCord several rows back, and unfortunately with I-cords, it's so like you can't just
Do you
like
need to frog?
yeah, you can't just like go down and fix
It's hard,
it.
yeah.
So I'm currently frogging several rows to try and figure out what exactly I fucked up.
Oh man.
I normally don't mind I-cords, but this one, okay, I'm hearing the echo again. I thought I did anyway. Yeah, I-cords, I just anyway, where did I so yeah, so I read quite a bit since our last meeting. So let's see. I listened to in December, I listened to Silver Nitrate by Silvia Moreno Garcia because on a book bingo card, there was a challenge for like a spooky horror book, and that's one that I had. And I liked it. So this is one she published a couple of years ago, and it's set in 1990s Mexico City. And we are following Montserrat, who is an audio engineer who is dealing with like sexism, the downturn of the Mexican film industry, and her best friend slash guy she's been crushing on for a while, whose name I cannot remember right now. It is Tristan, and they meet this horror director who lives in Tristan's building, and he wants them to like finish this supposedly cursed film. There's like a Nazi occultist, and it starts working, and spooky stuff starts happening, and I enjoyed it. I just like Silvia Moreno Garcia's writing in general, and this was like the level of horror I'm good with. Like it wasn't super gory or anything. It was more like suspense, like culty vibes. Let's see. Then I read The Sun Forge by Sasha Stronach. This is the second book in the Dawnhound series, and this is like biopunk, and so in this book you're kind of thrown into it right away, where there's this attack on the Kopek, which is like this magical ship, and the crew is in disarray, and so one of the crew members, Kiara, has to go and try and find like what's going on and disable the device that's keeping the ship there. And I thought this one was interesting, but it definitely felt like I felt like the Dawnhounds works well as a standalone, and then this one like really changes what you understand about the world and the characters and like what's going on. So this, like, I liked it, but I can see if you didn't like this one compared to the Dawnhounds, you probably don't want to finish, because I think this third book in this trilogy is going to be pretty tied into the Sun Forge. Let's see. Interesting Facts About Space by Emily R. Austin. So this is more lit fic. This is like sad lesbian lit fic. And in this one, we are following this young woman named Enid, and she works for the Canadian Space Agency as like a database administrator. And she is dealing with the grief of her father's death, but also like connecting with her half sisters who she didn't really have a relationship because her dad like walked out on her and her mom and started a new family. And so she's dealing with that. She's dealing with kind of her first serious romance. She's dealing with her irrational fear of bald men and how that's disrupting her work because she has to work with a bald man now. And like, it's one where it's very sad but very funny, and I enjoyed it. I haven't connected with either of the two Emily Austin books that I've read the same way that some of my friends have, but it is definitely like lit fic I would recommend.
Considering how some bald men are ruining the world right now, I don't think it's an irredeemable fear at this point.
Yeah. And then The next one I read I had fun with. So it's called Jane Doe by Victoria Helen Stone, and it's one I've had on my TBR since before the pandemic. And it is a thriller, and we're following this woman, Jane, and she's, kind of unremarkable, pretty. She's just a woman middle manager. Oh, and she's trying to enact this elaborate revenge on the abusive man who is dating her best friend and whose abuse led to her friend's death by suicide. And so it's a revenge book. Like, you are cheering for Jane to utterly destroy this man's life. And it's great. I had a lot of fun with it. And, part of it, Jane adopts a cat. She and her cat bond over being sociopaths. Because, I love my kitties, but they're little tiny sociopaths sometimes.
Wait, what is the book?
Jane Doe by Victoria Helen Stone.
Okay.
But yeah, that one, like I said, I would recommend that if you really just want to read a book about a woman absolutely destroying a man's life. And then the last book I read in December was City of Bones by Martha Wells. This was, I think, her second ever book. And it's very interesting I read the re-release from Tor, and it is so interesting to read because there are like certain through lines you can see with Kat, her main character in City of Bones, and then Kai from the Witch King series, and then Murder. Like this is not a derogatory thing, but Martha Wells very much has like a guy that she likes to write about, and you can see the connections. And again, I'm not saying this in a bad way. I'm saying that,
but we like that guy.
I do like the guy that she writes, so I'm not complaining.
It's the same guy. Here's the thing: Don Bluth had the one guy that he could draw, and it was a nice guy. It was a nice, well-drawn man every single time.
Yeah, so I enjoyed it. I did find the ending like kind of abrupt, and I don't know if she'd ever go back to this world, but if she did, I would definitely be interested in learning more about it. So basically the premise is it's like post-apocalyptic steampunk Lovecraftian. It's very much like a genre mismatch novel, and we're following our main character Kat, who is this almost human but not quite human. He's like a separate species, and he's an artifact scavenger, and he gets hired by the magical police, the warders, to find these relics that they think might have been part of this ancient magical device. And he and his business partner, Sagai, and the woman who hires him, Ellen, they get caught up in this conspiracy and like trying to figure out like what this device was for, who wants to use it, what the hell is going on. And Kat's also kind of dealing with some like entanglements from his earlier life in the city. So I enjoyed it, but it's hard. Like, I almost always have a good time with Martha Wells books. And then this year, let's see, I've had 2 rereads. I reread The Raven Tower, excellent. And I did another reread of The Goblin Emperor, even though I read it in July, and it was mostly because like I was thinking about Maya, and I was thinking about, I saw a shit post that was like, a Goblin Emperor AU, but Sevet gets XL. And like, great, but he would also be too powerful. Anyways,
I'm kind of like wanting to read Goblin Emperor again, specifically because Rachel, I'm sure Rachel is going to talk about Hands of the Emperor.
Yeah.
Which I have not read, but because it was pitched to me as kind of like Goblin Emperor vibes. Now I'm kind of like, do I want to just read books that are Goblin Emperor vibes? And what other books are there that are Goblin Emperor vibes that are not
Okay,
Goblin
I
Emperor?
haven't read Hands of the Emperor yet. I have it. I have it in print, and it's enormous. It's a
Yes.
chunky brick. However, one of the things that I was thinking about when I did my Goblin Emperor reread in August was that after that book was published for a number of years, so I feel like there were so many books where that was used as a comp title, and none of them scratched the same itch. Like not a one. And I feel like that was a some sort of missed publishing opportunity.
Here's the thing: have there been many successful comp titles? Because like every single time someone tries to pitch me like this is like, especially like within publishing, that there's a book like for friends of Mexican Gothic, blah 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 blah, and I'm like, no, this is like not even close to like what the contents of the book are like. Like, did we even read the same thing? And it's all, and it can be very disappointing at times.
Yeah, comps are weird. Like I know why they exist, but like how they're currently structured is just like very weird and very odd. But
I remember which was the one book, Docile. Docile was the book that had the worst comp titles, I think. Like, this is for fans of like, and then it was like some like queer like romantic Achillean romances, and then Docile is like anything but. And then you're like, why are you pitching this awful slave master like dystopian exploitation story as a romance to me? Why would you do this?
yeah, that's one I try and forget exists. Anyway, so those are my rereads. And then in terms of new stuff I've read this month, so I read 2 novellas because I'm kind of like sort out some potential Hugo nomination stuff. So I read Redundancies and Potentials by Dominic Dickey. This is a Neon Hemlock novella, and I liked it. It's definitely like in my pile of potential nominees, and it's a science fiction novella, and we're following this woman, Aster, and her sister Isadora, and they're not like blood sisters, but they're raised together, and by raised together, they're corpses that have been brought back to life by their father. And there's time travel, and he's like training them for this mission, but he won't tell them what there is. And essentially time travel in this story, it's basically like a fax machine. So you send a copy ahead of you in time, but there can't be like 2 copies together because it like disrupts things. So like when they're Aster and Isadora are training, they like kill the one left behind.
And they're undead?
Well, they're alive, but like their bodies were like on ice and then brought back. It that part doesn't get super explained. But I liked it. It, like I said, it's definitely one that's in my potential pile of novella nominees, especially since it is a non-Tor novella and we need more of those on the ballot. And then the other novella I read was Psychopomp and Circumstance by Eden Royce. And this is a historical fantasy that takes place in Reconstruction, New Charleston. So you don't get a lot of like explanation, but there's hints that this is like a different type of Charleston, because there's like hippocampi that pull carriages in flooded streets, and there's magic, obviously. And so our main character Fee, she's like trying to break out of her mom's kind of overbearingness about getting married, about being this pillar of Black society in New Charleston, and she wants to kind of establish herself as someone like capable, as someone who's not just a debutante. And she gets the chance when her Aunt Cleo, who's been estranged from the family for a number of years, dies, and Fee accepts the role of Psychopomp, which is the person who arranges the funeral and the wake and the sitting, and there's like consequences if it goes poorly or if it's like not done to the deceased wishes. And this is one where it was very interesting, but I think it's one where I would have preferred it to be longer because there were things that happened that don't get explained. And there were also times where it was like very repetitive about things where I think it could have been edited out. So I enjoyed it, but there definitely were some issues in terms of like pacing and repetitiveness. But I thought the world was interesting, and I would be interested in reading more from Royce because she primarily does middle grade. And so it's one where I would be interested in seeing what else she does in the adult sphere. And then the two nonfiction that I've read this month, the first was They Poisoned the World, Life and Death in the Age of Forever Chemicals by Mariah Blake. This was one I found out about because it was in one of the Washington Post like notable nonfiction of the year for 2025. And it's what it says on the tin. It is about forever chemicals and the health issues and pollution and kind of what they are, how they're impacting us. And it's really focused on this small town, Hoosick Falls in New York, that's right by, I think, like a Teflon plant or something. Ooh. And kind of the health effects and how this insurance adjuster ends up like really investigating after his father passes away and trying to affect change. It's definitely on the shorter side. And this is one where, because I've recently read some books that weren't about forever chemicals, but were about something similar. So it was They Poisoned the World, or not, How to Sell a Poison, which is about DDT, and then American Poison, which is about leaded gasoline. And they have very, like, all three of those books have very similar narrative arcs in terms of, like, this was how the chemical was produced, and people knew that there were health issues, but it was sold as like this, like something good for American life, and it was sold abroad. And then this is how they just like the consequences came out. And in this book in particular, they actually mentioned a lot of the stuff around leaded gas, because one of the people who invented leaded gas also invented one of the forever chemicals. And then this scientist, Robert Kehoe, who was a shill for the lead industry, also shilled for forever chemical. So like their narrative arcs are very similar. So for me, that part wasn't as impactful because I'm like, I've read this before. Like it's same song, different verse type of thing, or like same song, different key.
Also, why does this, like, everything goes back to me for like the Radium Girls? Because like, why is it that every single poisonous substance is always like sold as like, this is good for you and it has actually health benefits, and then it turns out that it's absolutely horrible?
Yep. Anyway, so I read that. I would say, like, if you want to read it, read it. It's short. That's kind of the benefit of it. But if you've read things like American Poison, like How to Sell a Poison, I think for me, those are were more interesting to read. And then the other nonfiction I read was The Rise and Reign of Mammals by, who's the author again? By Steve Broussard. He's the guy who wrote the big dinosaur pop sci book.
I think it's Broussardi.
Broussardi, thank you.
That's how they pronounce it on the audiobooks.
And that was fun. I enjoyed it. It's basically like, here's how mammals evolved. Here's how mammals adapted and ended up being the dominant vertebrate for our modern era, and also talking about the challenges that mammals are facing due to climate change, human predation, environmental destruction, that type of thing. So if you're looking for a pop science book, it's one I would recommend. And then the last book I finished was Blind Date with a Werewolf by Patricia Briggs. And this is a collection of 5 novellas about the werewolf Asil, and he is known as the Moor. He is a very old werewolf who has a lot of issues, and the premise of this is someone is setting him up on blind dates as like, we think you need companionship, and we are setting you up on dates, and there has to be no violence within 2 hours, and you can't kill your date. And it turns out
That's a problem he's had.
well, I mean, he's an old werewolf who had some, like, werewolves in this book have temper issues, or like, I think part of it was a joke, but Asil is also like known for being unpredictable. Anyway, it turns out there's always like something else going on with these dates. So like the first one, there's like an actual vampire who's preying on attendees at a vampire ball, which is kind of like Vampire the Masquerade. So it's like, and then there's like someone who signed him up for a date with like people who like cats. Oh, but this date is like involved in this plan to sacrifice a seal and gain magical powers, or there's an evil witch. And so like there's always something else going on. So it was fun. This, like, the Mercy Thompson, like the books by Patricia Briggs are very much like my trash pocket books, where I enjoy them, but I will never recommend them to people because they do have a lot of issues. But it's like, you know, I'm pretty sure we all have that, where there is something like we really enjoy, but it's like, I will never recommend this to anyone.
I read the entirety of Betrayal of Dignity. I will never live it down. We all know that story was not quality.
Anyway,
What is,
so those are
what
the
is,
ones
what is this? That
It's
is
a
not
webtoon.
quality? What?
It's the webtoon about the lady who wanted to
web-
I had
It
forgotten.
was
Yeah.
the webtoon where the main romantic female love interest fakes her own death to escape the romantic male lead, because that
I
is
remember the plot in great detail. I had not remembered the title.
And then they end up happily ever after, right? Like
yeah,
their
they have
romance
kids
is
as
ending.
well.
Oh God.
Oh.
Meow.
That's the worst part. He baby traps her, and then it's sold to you like, here, happy. And it's like, no, this is a nightmare.
Yeah, so that is one. Yeah, so like I said, those books are my trash pocket books. I might be doing a full series reread / catch up this year, because like I forgot how much because I ended up picking up because Asil was one of my favorite side characters, and I'm like, oh, he has this, and I had read the initial version of like the first novella, but I think I think there were things added to it for like the overarching plot of this book. Anyway, I had fun. I will not recommend it to anyone. And then in terms of what I'm reading, so last year I read all of Jane Austen's novels. So this year I was like, you know what? It's been ages since I read the Brontes. Let's do a Bronte reread. So I am currently reading Wuthering Heights.
Have you seen the new adaptation?
Well, that new adaptation's not out yet. But I've seen the trailers.
I have thoughts about the costuming.
It looks terrible.
Oh my God.
I will not say, because I finished volume 1 and I need to go back to it, but I decided to take a bit of a break. But I would not say I'm enjoying it, but it is giving me thinky thoughts about Heathcliff and his role as both like the almost prototype of the ambiguously brown male love interest that we see in a lot of romanticides, because this isn't something that a lot of adaptations do, but Heathcliff is described as being darker than the Earnshaws, and they don't actually say what like his ethnicity or his background is, and they like speculate. It's like, oh, he could be Roma, he could be like a Lascar, which was a seaman from the Indian subcontinent.
He could be
from the
traced
American.
from one of the slave ships.
Yeah, like they never specify what Heathcliff is other than dark. And so that kind of ties into the ambiguously brown man, where it's like he's not white, but he's exotically dark, and there's no real emphasis on what his culture is or what his background is and how that influences him. And so like Heathcliff, like reading this, it's like Heathcliff is that. And then he's also this prototype, but also commentary on like because the man, it's like, oh, I would burn the world for you, but what happens when you're no longer his whole world? Like, what will he do to you? And that I'm like, Heathcliff is that as well.
I think one of the interesting commentaries about Wuthering Heights is that the theory and also the kind of almost meta narrative of Heathcliff as Earnshaw's bastard son.
Yeah.
Which when if you look at it from that kind of reading, it gives extra layers to why he is so reviled, and especially why his relationship with Kathy is so frowned upon. But nobody tells them, so it's kind of like,
yeah, it's definitely interesting. And it's also interesting because like the movie is being like like the logo is like the most epic love story of all time, and I'm reading it and it's like, it's not, though. Like the book is romantic in the sense of like the literary movement, like the romantic literary movement, where like all the emotions are pushed to 11, and there's like descriptions of the landscape, and it's all about like human nature and stuff. It's like that romantic, but it's not a romance, because like it's very much, it's about the destructive nature of relationships more than anything. And like,
yeah,
anyway, it, like I said, I'm not enjoying, like I wouldn't say I'm enjoying it, but it is like making me think, and I'm looking forward to looking at JSTOR and seeing like what articles they have on Wuthering Heights when I'm done.
I think Wuthering Heights, I should reread it at some point, because Wuthering Heights I actually quite like. Enjoy is not the word though. Like I don't think I enjoyed Wuthering Heights, but Wuthering Heights is like one of those books that you just kind of like, love it or hate it, it does make you think.
Yeah, that's kind of where I'm at, where it is very much like I'm reading it, and it like I've been reading it in short chunks and taking like short, like just jotting thoughts down as I'm reading it, because there are parts where like I think about it and it's like, oh, that how this book kind of reflects our modern literature.
Yeah.
And like, because like, you know, everyone's like, oh, you can trace enemies to lovers back to Pride and Prejudice, but I think again there are certain things in this where I'm like, oh, I can see the roots of certain aspects of the modern romance genre, for worse in this case, in this book.
But having read Wuthering Heights, the people who say that Wuthering Heights is like the greatest love story, it's giving the same energy as people who say that Lolita is the greatest love story.
Mm-hmm.
I'm kind of side-eyeing you at that point. I'm kind of like looking at that is the most shallow reading of the text, I think.
Yeah. Well, it's also ignoring the back half of the book.
Mm-hmm.
And then the other two things I'm reading, I started listening to Mastery of Monsters by LaSalle Sambury, because I'm trying to read a couple of YA books for Lodestar nominating purposes, and I'm only about a third in, and I'm enjoying it. But so the premise of this book is our main character, August, her mom's disappeared. She's a Black Canadian teenager, and her mom's disappeared, and she encounters and she's like dealing with that. She's also kind of recovering from her mom in particular was like emotionally abusive about her weight, and so she's kind of recovering from that. And she encounters a monster, and when she tells her brother about it, her brother disappears, And so in trying to find out what happened to her brother, she gets brought into this secret society that is like not monster hunting, but kind of monster control, because there's people who become monsters or they get bitten and become monsters. And if they like bond to someone, they can control it. And so we're dealing with like the secret society and like it kind of being culty. And so it's fine so far. I'm enjoying it, but it very much is, for me, like, in an ideal world, this would be new adult, because it's about an 18-year-old starting college. It's not about a teenage, like, she's technically a teenager, but she's starting university. And so this is, I think, kind of emblematic of the aging up of YA. And then yesterday I started Murder by Memory by Olivia Waite, and I'm not super far in. This is like cozy sci-fi murder mystery.
I'm looking forward to the next one in that series. I hope it's longer, because I thought Murder by Memory was just frankly too short. I'll be curious what you think at the end of it, but like it's like by the time that I kind of got into it and figured out this is what's going on here, it was over.
Yeah,
Like,
so I'm very early on. Like, she just woke up in the body.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's what I've been reading. Like I said, it was a lot.
All right. We only have 30 minutes left in our usual time, and I still have my list of things to talk about. Is anybody okay with going overtime so we can also talk about media?
I'm okay to go.
Okay. Rhea matters the most here because they have
I work remote tomorrow, so I get to sleep.
I know, but you should still get some sleep. Take care of yourself.
Of course.
All right. Here we go. I'm going to talk about what I'm currently reading first, because there's just two things to really mention. I've finally started reading a novel by Yume Kitase. This is Salt Crop, which is her most recent one that came out latter half of last year, I think.
Okay, I'm hearing the echo again.
Echo is back. And I'm liking it. I cannot for the life of me remember if I tried to read the Stardust Grail and I bounced off of it. I feel like I did, but it's been a few years, I think. But I'm enjoying this enough that I think I might go back and try her other two novels and see if I also like them.
Yeah,
I think so. Yeah.
I read her debut and I enjoyed it, but I haven't read Stardust Grail or Salt Crop yet.
Okay. What's the other one called?
The
Deep Sky. The Deep
Yes.
Sky. It's here on the front. Anyway, this is kind of like near future literary science fiction about three sisters. One of them, the eldest, who works in the big city, disappears from her research job, and her two younger sisters take their boat out to go looking for her. It is a little bit dystopic. Most of the world has been really devastated by a continual blight that has really damaged food sources and everything. So it's a lot of people living in small dying villages on the coasts and big decrepit falling apart cities and stuff. Ecological disaster, basically. So yeah, I am liking it. I feel like it has a very slow start. You really just don't know what kind of book it's going to be until you get to the halfway point, which is about where I am. But I am enjoying it. I think it's written pretty well. And a book has to be pretty good for me to get through present tense. I do not like things that are written in present tense.
It's even worse when it's first person present tense.
Thankfully, it is not. It is not. So yeah, that's one of the things I'm currently reading. I'm also my fun read at the moment is Brigands and Bread Knives by Travis Baldree, which is kind of the third book in the series. That began with the Legends and Lattes. This picks up with her name is Fern, right? One of Viv's friend from the prequel book is the focus of this one, and it's much less cozy bookshop, coffee shop vibes. Like there's actually on the road adventuring so far. So different vibes, but still relatively cozy. I'm not far enough into it to have an opinion any other way. So, but I will finish it. And if anybody has seen the cover with the Goblin Girl on it, I think she's going to be the standout character of this novel. If anybody has read it, please let me know if she continues to be interesting, because I think she's going to surprise everybody. Okay, as to what I have actually finished reading, at the end of December, I finished Full Metal Alchemist. I think I read like the last 6 volumes in about 2 days or something. So, so I finished that. It was fantastic.
Right?
Right.
We'll probably talk more about this in the media section, but I am now watching the anime. I'm watching Brotherhood, and it's interesting. I think it's taken me about 2 years to read this manga series, and so now
you started from the second episode.
I did start from the second episode. I think I'm on episode 12 right now.
Okay.
So it's taking me back to the first couple of volumes when I had no idea what was going on, and I'm like, oh, I should probably reread some of this.
The foreshadowing that she does is so good.
Yes. So very happy I finished that, and I'm happy to be watching Brotherhood as well. Though that may take me a while. I watch shows a lot faster than I can read manga.
Also, Joe, if you plan on watching Brotherhood, my personal recommendation, start from the second episode. You lose absolutely nothing.
Yeah, the first episode is so weird.
It's worthless. It actually spoils almost. It spoils not the entire plot of the whole series, but it's near there. So, and you don't need it. You don't even miss it if you like. You do not even miss it if you like just watch from the second episode.
Yeah, I would say
nothing of worth was lost.
If that episode just disappeared off the face of the planet, I would never have known that it existed. I started with the second one and was like, this is the beginning of the story. So yeah, very fun. I now have room to finish another long manga series, so I think Vinland Saga will be next, but I need to get further into Vinland Saga to see if I actually like it that much. I'm still in the point where I just don't like the main character, but we'll talk about this some other time.
Rachel, we need to see, because here's the thing. I have not finished Vinland Saga the manga because I was at the middle of like part 2, and then it started like basically I was waiting for the publication to catch up.
Mm-hmm.
So now I have multiples of volumes.
Because it's concluded, right? It is
concluded
over.
now because I was waiting like, okay, I'm gonna read it and finish it after it concludes.
Yeah.
Because I wasn't sure in what direction the story was going.
Yeah.
So if you want, we could actually buddy read it.
I will keep you up to date whenever I get to the point where you can resume. Let me know. Yeah, Joe, we started watching that, and I feel like the manga kind of tells the story in a slightly different order from where the anime started. I may be wrong about that, but
a little bit,
yeah.
The manga's first 2 chapters are from kind of like present day, then it goes and backslides into the backstory, whereas the anime starts by telling the backstory.
Mm-hmm. Then after that, I read one of the Luna Press novellas that I got in Glasgow a couple of years ago. This is Virgin Land by Chloe Smith. And this was actually pretty interesting. I didn't love the romance/relationship wrap-up thing at the end of it. It felt a little bit shoehorned in when that wasn't really the point of the story. But basically, it's about a woman who had she's from a spacer community, and she marries this guy and leaves her family, and he is really insistent on buying property on a planet and settling it and having the virgin land, the unspoiled land, to do whatever they want to with it. You can tell this is going to have ecological colonialist themes, right?
I should hope that if Virgin Land is, as a concept, is a very
yeah. So it's very short.
loaded
I don't want
term.
to like totally spoil it, but let's put it this way. The husband is a POS. The wife is basically realizing she's a bit of a brainwashed trad wife who needs to get out of this situation. And then outsiders show up and show her a different way of living. And yeah, the planet, shenanigans happened. Nobody should have settled there. So yeah, it was relatively decent, but like I said, the way that it ended kind of made me go, do we really need to, like, we could have ended a couple pages before then, and that would have put more focus on, I think, what the message of the book was. So anyway, it was pretty good. I would really like to read more of the novellas from Luna Press, but I don't know if you can really get them in the US. I think you can get the ebooks. Then I read a newish book that was published last year of Monsters and Mainframes by Barbara Truelove. What was the book nominated for Hugo Best Novel last year that was like Arctic Explorer fanfic?
Oh, Ministry of Time.
Ministry of Time, thank you. I picked up of Monsters and Mainframes mainly because it's science fiction, and it looks like the cover design is a complete ripoff of the Ministry of Time.
Yeah.
Like, I think that's it's going to be a thing now. Like, just pull up the covers of those two books and tell me that you don't see the resemblance. So I knew nothing about this book. I did not know it existed until I saw it at the library and took it off the shelf. And it was really kooky and not the greatest thing ever, but I read all 416 pages in one day. Yeah. It is about a spaceship with like an AI pilot that keeps getting wrecked because monsters keep showing up on it. And I am irritated by one fact in particular, which is that Frankenstein is the name of the creator, not of the monster. Also, it's not the monster, it's the creature.
Though, to be fair, if we go there, Frankenstein is a monster.
Yes, but this Frankenstein is the creature, not the creator. And I was just really annoyed by that.
But I've noticed this discourse in general whenever we talk about Frankenstein. Like I love Rina Sawayama, who is a very like cool artist. She has amazing music, and her song Frankenstein mixes up the Frankenstein and Frankenstein the doctor and Frankenstein the creature, and she references "I can be your Frankenstein," ergo
How
the
about
creature.
no?
And every time I'm listening to that song, I'm like, yeah, this song is a banger, but too bad about the complete misinterpretation of the
Right.
source text.
So anyway, a bunch of monsters from classic literature show up in this, and it's all part of a sci-fi plot. Dracula's in it anyway. It's not great, but like I said, I read the entire thing in one day. It was such a popcorn read. I have no regrets, but I don't know who the heck I would recommend this to. Like, I feel like if you're really into the literary monster references, I wouldn't recommend it because it's just not accurate enough. It might really annoy you. It annoyed me, and I'm not like even a purist here. But it's almost too tongue-in-cheek, ridiculous. What even is this kind of AI story for a science fiction enthusiast these days? So we're just going to throw it in like the comedic literary science fiction genre. Do what you want to with that. My last book of 2025 was a real banger. It was The Accidental Taxonomist, 3rd edition by Heather Heaton, which is 500 pages of taxonomy and ontologies, and I won't talk any more about that because your eyes are glazing over now. This is actually a reread for me. I read the 1st edition during my grad school days, and yes, I was looking for a reason to read the new edition of this book on work time, and I got my wish. So
That's always nice when work pays for you to read for fun.
But yeah, taxonomies are cool and they make the world go round. And then I went straight from that to, I think we sense a trend with what we've been reading, The Seventh Veil of Salome by Silvia Moreno Garcia, which is one of her 2 new books out last year. And this one it made me think a lot about Silver Nitrate because it also concerns film, but in this case, it's like old Hollywood 1950s. I had to look some of the stuff up to be like, what was the time period? What is she kind of riffing on? But it very much seems to connect to the 1956 movie Salome, which was not like a hit or anything, but that era of the big biblical movies or whatever. I'm not well versed in that area of cinema, but
Isn't there an opera also on Salome?
oh yeah, that's referenced too.
Okay.
The story basically is this guy in Hollywood in the 1950s is obsessed with bringing to the screen the Seventh Veil of Salome, which is, I mean, they make up their own story, but it's kind of based on the opera and all that. And it's kind of like a story told twice, or like a story within a story, because it alternates between the story of Salome, which is clearly like if you were watching the movie in the book, like that is the story being told to you. And then the other story is the making of the movie and the journey of the Mexican actress who is cast as Salome and the absolutely horrible things that people were doing in old Hollywood at that time, including a woman who is completely off her rocker and wants to kill the Mexican actress. We'll say that. So it was compellingly readable. It's actually not that long of a novel either. And yeah, I enjoyed it, but I think in many ways I was more interested in the world building of Silver Nitrate. I remember that one, and I don't think I'm going to remember much about The Seventh Veil of Salome in the future, other than, you know, I don't think I've ever read a biblical retelling before, which is basically what it is. So
I think I found a better way to like handle the parts of the where there's like the seam.
mm-hmm.
Because like previously in other rows they kind of stick out like this, and now I figured out I can just fold it like so, and then single crochet when it's on a fold so it doesn't get all. Would have been nice to figure that out like about 8 rows ago.
Turn it so it's at the back of your work. So
yeah.
That's how it is, though. You learn as you go.
Yeah. I'm not gonna frog this, though.
No. Then I read The Cat Who Saved the Library by Sosuke Natsukawa, which is a follow-up to The Cat Who Saved Books, I think. One of those Japanese literary fantasy novels that really took the world by storm. I don't have much to say about this one other than I did like it. And it's all about like a 12-year-old girl with asthma meeting the magical talking cat and trying to save the books that a mysterious gray-faced man has been stealing from her library. And it was good. I liked it. I think it had good things to say in a very almost like parable way.
I've noticed there are so many books that are by Japanese authors that are kind of this cozy, like new weird fantasy that have cats.
Yes. And some Korean novels as well.
Yes, cats seem to be a thing. I'm not complaining.
I think it is the Dollargut Dream Store that has like a gigantic cat character in it as well.
I think so. I have the book. I have not finished reading it, but
Yeah.
I did try a chapter. So I've read the first chapter of it, but that was ages ago.
Yeah.
But I own that book, so there's a sequel to that book as well now.
Yes, there is. I don't think I have it on hold yet, but I think my library has got it on order, so I'll probably read it. And then I finally got some holds in that I had been waiting for like 4 or 5 months for. I was going to read Scotch on the Rocks. I skimmed like 50% of it and said, hell no. And then I immediately switched to the other second in a romance series that I was going to continue with, which is Heartstrings by Ivy Fairbanks. And I quite enjoyed this, but I could tell right away it was actually pretty similar to the structure of Scotch on the Rocks. It was another, they formerly dated but had a falling out, and now they have to put up with each other again for reasons, and, you know, a little bit enemies to lovers getting back together again. I did enjoy this though, and it was fun. I read it in like 2 days and would like to read more. The first book in that series I really, really enjoyed. It's called Morbidly Yours.
That's the one with the mortician.
I will never get over the fact that it's about a mortician and an animator. Yeah, get it?
Because they animate stuff, they bring stuff to life.
Yes. This series also, I think one of the themes of it that it's trying to focus on is characters with disabilities, and representation of that in romance, which I think it does quite well. The first one, the mortician character has a stutter. And this one, the female love interest is a childhood leukemia survivor and is still going through the process of going into adulthood after spending your childhood in hospitals, that kind of thing. So yeah, I liked Heartstrings. I did not like it as much as Morbidly Yours, but I'm hoping it's a bit of a sophomore slump, and I just didn't. I'm not really into the we used to date, but now we don't like each other trope or whatever that is now. So
does the sequel also deal with Irish language? Because I think Morbidly Yours had quite like that had like Irish language dialogue in it.
I can't remember. Heartstrings does not. It's much more focused on the fact that the man in the story is a musician, so there's a lot of focus on like his music lyrics, that kind of a linguistic thing there. And then we come to the big one. Literally the big one. The Hands of the Emperor by Victoria Goddard. This is the one that I read because years ago, somebody on Goodreads who also really loved The Goblin Emperor read this and was like, if you like The Goblin Emperor, this is like that, but 3 times as long. So of course I immediately bought the ebook and then took like 5 years to get around to reading it because it's massive. So this is a bit hard to set the scene here because this book kind of plonks you down in the middle of a fantasy world that's very well established, really built out, and a lot of the story hinges on previous historical events that are not info dumped to you right away. So you sort of have to take it as you go with like, okay, something big happened. It affected all these characters. We'll find out a little bit more as we go along.
I mentioned that I own a print copy of this book, so I can demonstrate.
Holy!
It is a chunker.
It
Can
is a
you show the
chunker,
font?
and this is very small print.
Oh my god.
It's,
That's
it's
a Bible. Like, that's Bible font.
Yeah.
Like, in terms of
this
the
is
smallness.
730 some pages with tiny font.
I recommend reading it on an e-reader for a better experience and not wearing out your wrists. So
Yeah, I mean, here I saw that on Kobo, if you go to the Kobo Ultimate program, basically the Kobo Unlimited, which is a ripoff of Kindle Unlimited that Kobo has, and you can get this book for free if you have Kobo Unlimited.
Yeah,
Or
Kobo
€6.
Unlimited also has better terms for authors and does not lock them out of being in libraries.
Yes, I mean, if you can avoid it,
yeah,
don't use Amazon.
Victoria Goddard is self-published, and she has all of her books available to purchase from her website directly if you wish to support her in that way, both ebooks and paperbacks. Though I gather that getting some print versions of a few of her books may be a bit difficult if you're in the US because they come from the UK. So with tariffs and everything right now. Anyway, I'm going to be getting all the ebooks. I stayed up until 1 o'clock on a weeknight to finish reading this book. I was that obsessed with it. I have no regrets. I was dead the next day at work, but I super enjoyed it. And then I had to go around and tell everybody I know that I was obsessed with this book and really unhappy that I was in the middle of a no-buy challenge because I need more and I can't buy more of the ebooks until February. But when I can, I will have so many things to read.
But there's only 1 week of January left.
That's true. I am absolutely going to be getting myself like probably 2 of her ebook bundles for my birthday. Like, just gonna have to do it. I need all of them. So this very long fantasy novel is about what seems to be just your average secretary to a politician. He goes home to his family for a holiday, and while he's there, he finds kind of this beach mansion that looks nice, and he says, you know what, I think I'm going to rent that out and see if my boss would like to take a vacation there. And then he goes home and he tells his boss this, and his boss is like an all-powerful god mage emperor who has been working nonstop for a subjective 1,000 years and has never had a vacation in his life. And instead of being like, how dare you suggest that I go on vacation, he's like, let's do that. And it changes the world. Like, literally, it changes the entire empire and the course of history. And the main character, the secretary, spends most of the book becoming increasingly powerful in order to reform the government. He's super socialist and happy vibes all around. And the emperor gets what he wants too, which is to eventually retire.
Yeah, after 1,000 years, one would hope that retiring was on the cards.
The flow of time in this world after said really big earth-shattering event is very weird. Like, people in one place have been working for an extremely long amount of time, but when they leave that place and they go home, it's been like, hey, it's been 10 years. I don't completely understand this yet. I'm hoping it will be explained more.
I am now even more confused than I was before you started explaining, because in these books, we're in a totally different place after the cataclysmic event. And I have had no indication that there's weird time stuff going on. So now
probably not in the capital then with the politicians.
Oh no. We're in one of the different.
Are those related then?
They're in the same like multiverse that has now splintered. Is my understanding.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
So the Hands of the Emperor is kind of the suggested entry point for the Lays of the Hearthfire series. And the one that Kelsey's been reading is the Greenwing and Dart. And I think they both happen after the fall, which is a big point in the timeline. I don't know if they happen at around the same time. Anyway, this series is very sprawling. There are like 5 different kingdoms.
In this
and
one, the
different
protagonist
worlds.
is like in his early 20s, and the fall happened like in his childhood.
Oh, it's very recent after the fall then.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
There's so much going on with this book. I've explained it very badly based on what drew me into reading it in the first place. But if you're like, I really like seeing a super repressed person who has had to be at work for forever slowly come out of their shell and become a person again, I loved it.
Is this a book about my life?
Have you been magically imprisoned as an emperor for 1,000 years?
No. When you put it like that, then no.
Anyway, I think the Goblin Emperor vibes in this book is mainly that it's about a group of actually good people trying to reform a government and an empire that was really, really crappy beforehand. And they succeed, and a lot of it is about learning to be nice to each other and to support each other, mostly in their dreams of eventually retiring in a stable world. But there's also this whole like core story about the main character reconnecting with his heritage, with his culture. He comes from a part of the kingdom it's very much a Pacific Islander inspired culture, and that becomes very, very important throughout the story as well. So something I'll also say about this book is that while it's very, very long, it is in pretty distinct 5 parts. It's almost like a series of novellas. They're not like huge time jumps in between them or anything. It is a continuous story, but it's pretty easy to see the chunks of it, I guess. So I don't know if it was originally written as a whole or separately and then brought together. So yeah, I consumed it very, very quickly, and I need more.
Can't wait to read it after I have finished all of these other things.
I need everybody to read it and tell me what you think.
I'm having a huge problem right now because I keep dipping into books. Like I keep starting new books, and finishing seems to be not on the cards.
Sometimes it be like that.
Yeah.
Apocalypse looked like it was maybe ending, but now it looks like it's getting worse again.
Uh-oh.
Speaking of Snowpocalypse, Mom Donnie was suggesting that everyone curl up with Heated Rivalry.
Really?
That man has his finger on the pulse of popular culture, doesn't
Yes. Heated Rivalry now is in Finnish HBO as well. I don't want HBO. I don't want to succumb to another streaming service, but
You could do what I did, which is pay for a couple of months of it so you can indulge in rewatching Heated Rivalry 5 times and then continuing with The Pit, because
yeah, I need to do that. I need to do that after it has fully come out, because they're releasing 1 episode per week.
I know, but you could watch all of the first season, and by the time you're caught up with that, the second season will be done. You can start watching that.
But Heated Rivalry, the first season is what is now being.
Oh,
Oh,
you're
you're
talking
talking
about
about
Heated
The
Rivalry,
Pit.
not the Pit.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
talking about Heated Rivalry.
Yeah, but how long will we have to wait for more Heated Rivalry?
I don't know.
I don't know either.
I guess it's going to be 2027.
I
Yeah.
did actually put the first book on hold as in the library. Do you want to know how many people are in the row, like in the queue before me?
A lot.
A lot. Has everyone seen what happened with the publisher, like not ordering a big print run
Yep.
when the show was released?
I'm not
No one
shocked.
had it.
Harlequin has always kind of been shitty, especially around its Karina line.
So there are 237 holds, like people have reservations, and I am number 166 on the queue. So it will be a while before I get my hands on that book.
Oh, they start filming soon and they're saying a 2027 release date. Okay, that makes me feel better. I don't want them to rush it. That feels like it was a segue into media, but I'm not actually done yet. Let me really quickly wrap up what I've been reading. I read 2 nonfiction books, which I don't have a ton to say about. I read Enshittification by Cory Doctorow, which is basically, he expands on all of his articles from the past couple of years about the concept of enshittification or platform decay. It's a lot about why did we really love some of these things like Amazon and Facebook back in the day, and now they're absolutely terrible, and how did this happen, and why does this keep happening to us, and what do we do about that in today's hellscape? I found it to be pretty informative because I hadn't really followed this topic before, but I think anybody who has regularly been reading Doctorow's stuff, he's very prolific online. You'll probably know most of this already, but
Also, if you work in tech,
if you work,
you live it every single day.
Yeah. There's a whole thing in there about Google and like how Google culture got overturned when the tech workers basically kind of got forced out and weren't able to defend their work anymore. So that's terrible. I also read The Art of Showing Up, How to Be There for Yourself and Your People by Rachel Wilkerson Miller. I am not known for reading self-help stuff, but every once in a while I read something that affirms the way that I feel. And this is one about, how do you take care of yourself and then take care of your friendships? And I liked it. It has a real potty mouth, though. It reads very much like a BuzzFeed article. And then I realized that the author worked for BuzzFeed, and that made a lot of sense. But if you are a millennial and you need some things about taking care of yourself and others phrased to you in the language of the millennials, this is probably the book for you. And the very last thing that I finished this morning was the 14th volume of the Apothecary Diaries manga, which feels very much like a reread for me because I already experienced the story with the second season of the anime, but I keep reading the manga because I need that dose of the Apothecary Diaries. So
New movie coming this year.
Yes.
And 3rd season next year.
I am very much looking forward to 2027. I'm basically reading the manga. I'm now pretty much caught up with it, I think. But I'm like, give me the manga so I can get through this year to 2027.
Also, if I'm not mistaken, Witch Hat Atelier anime adaptation comes out this year.
Wait, what?
Yeah, if I'm not mistaken, let me just...
I didn't know that was a thing.
Yes. When is it coming? When are you coming? April 2026. Witch Hat Atelier is set to release spring 2026, so April is the prospective release for the first episodes.
Between that and Jujutsu Kaisen and wanting to finish Fruits Basket, I'm going to have to subscribe to Crunchyroll again, aren't I?
Not necessarily. Here's the thing. I will never recommend anyone to subscribe to Crunchyroll. Crunchyroll is a piece of shit company that exploits people and lays off translators in favor of very sus services for auto captioning. However, they also have a monopoly, unfortunately, on the industry in terms of if you want to actually try to support their creators. So I'm not necessarily endorsing the piratic alternatives.
Not nautical activities.
Yes.
Yeah. Well,
I think I finally got.
But
to
at the same
point-
time, I will not fully judge you if like, or judge anyone for using it. Anyway,
I
go
think I
go ahead, Dai.
finally got to the point where I initially fucked up my I-cord. And I'm not sure how I did it, but
I mean, it's an I-cord Edge. They're just weird.
they're like, I understand how they work, and I was I was doing it fine, but like it, just something was off, and you can't, like I said, it's so frustrating that you can't just like drop down and
Mhm.
fix it.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes it just be that way.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, and it's now back to a different section of my pattern, so I have to figure out where I am.
Anyway, I am done talking about what I read, and you guys take it away with media.
Well, speaking of Jujutsu Kaisen, the 3rd season of Jujutsu Kaisen started, and there's been a couple of episodes already. And my girl Maki, she's getting her due. She's getting all the roses. Also, the amount of art references in the opening credits, like for classical artists like Monet and Degas and all of this kind of stuff, and the pre-Raphaelites, the opening intro sequence, like the opening song animation, is like stock full of artistic references to classical paintings.
Is it as good an opening sequence as the second half of the last season? Because that was amazing.
Yes.
But it's different, obviously.
It's
I
different. I think it's actually the best opening sequence they have done.
Ooh.
It's like it has topped. It has topped. Also, they got was it Yuki Kaji to voice Naoya, who is the biggest piece of shit in the entire Zenin clan. And then they glaze him in the first episode. He shows up and they're like, "Look at this cool guy," and then he immediately gets his ass kicked by Maki, and I'm like, yes, yes. I love to see it. I love to see a character, because here's the thing, like the reason people dislike Naoya is because he's there are like I saw like whiny people, mostly men, on social media complain that you're all complaining about Naoya, like why are you not complaining about Sukuna, like he's even worse. And it's like, the thing is, Sukuna is like fantastical level evil. Naoya is a sexist, misogynist asshole, so you kind of hate him more because that's an evil that is much more close to home for a lot of people. Like you sit next to Naoya's every day in the metro on your way to work. Sometimes you have to have coffee cooler or like water cooler conversations with those people at work. So it's like hating him, like and seeing him getting beat up honestly feels very cathartic. Especially since they spared no budget on the scenes where he gets beat up.
I hope they're treating their animators a bit better now.
Unfortunately, it's Mappa. They never treat their animators like those.
Didn't
poor
they learn
people
a
are
lesson?
gonna be on crunch.
They didn't learn a lesson from last time.
Oh.
Excuse, they never learned a lesson.
They
from
never
any of the
never
previous
learn.
times.
They
Okay.
Japanese corporate culture. It's not great. It's not great. There will be a lot of people who are animating those scenes who will not be leaving the office, and that's unfortunately a fact. Like my enjoyment of anime, not just with Mappa. Mappa is probably one of the worst offenders, but they're not the only one. But basically my enjoyment of anime comes with is laid on a bed of thorns and roses, because at the same time I enjoy the art form, I enjoy the series, but I don't enjoy the worker exploitation. And it's like you weigh these things. It's the same thing, like for example,
Video games.
video games. Oh, video games. Also crunch like out of the wazoo. Like I have friends working in the video game industry, and they're basically saying like, yeah, last time we had to port a game to a different system, and none of us got summer holiday, or like we had to postpone summer holidays to the late fall because we needed to get the game out by deadline.
Is that legal?
It's ambiguous.
Okay.
Because they're not denying you your vacation time. They're just saying that you can't take the vacation now. You can take the vacation later. But yeah, so Jujutsu Kaisen is currently fire. I started watching also the anime version of The Summer Hikaru Died, and that's like, I really enjoyed, like, the animation in that series is really cool, and like it's improving on certain aspects also of the manga. Like it's doing stuff differently, kind of moving stuff narratively around so that the narrative is a little bit more cohesive, especially at the beginning. But it's like really cool. And yeah, that's basically what I have been watching, those two series.
I can go next because I also have not been watching a whole lot, and that way we can also make sure Kelsey has time to talk about ice skating.
Yes.
I have I finished season 2 of Percy Jackson and the Olympians, and I really liked it. I think it is a definite improvement over season 1, especially when it comes to lighting. The lighting in season 1, particularly for like the night scenes, was really bad. And it also helped that this season they stopped using the volume and started doing like sets and locations, which I always appreciate. I love a good practical set. And there have been some changes between the books and the show, particularly in relation to Thalia Grace and her whole deal, which I'm so interested to see how it plays out in season 3, which we are getting later this year because they had a season 2 and 3 renewal at the same time and they filmed them back to back. So I'm hoping we get a season 4 and 5 renewal announcement soon so they can start filming those, and that way we can just have the seasons one a year. So I really enjoy those. And then I am currently watching The Pit. Season 2 just started. I did my rewatch of season 1, and I am still a Trinity Santos defender. Yes, my girl is annoying and abrasive and overconfident, but also she did nothing wrong. She did do stuff wrong.
No spoilers.
Anyway, I enjoy it. It's for folks who don't know, it's a medical drama, but the entire season is one day, and so every episode is an hour, and so you're just getting like a day in the life of these doctors and medical students and nurses. And season 2 just started, and it picks up 10 months after season 1, and it is Noah Wiley's character, Dr. Robbie's last day before his sabbatical, and he's meeting the woman who will be covering for him, and there is also someone's first day back. It's some people's first days. I'm very interested. Like, we know what kind of the crisis this season is going to be, and I'm interested to see how it plays out. And then I did start the Sad French Game. I am not super far in it.
If Kelsey does not know about the sad French game,
It is sad and it is very French.
it is very French. You can literally get what is called the baguette outfits for every single character. They have a beret and a little like these stripy tops and suspenders. And you can also get them the bathing suits, which are very like kind of 1920s
Sad French
like
bathing
French
suit.
coded.
Anyway, I'm not super far. I'm still only in Act 1. I just got Mael.
I will not spoil anything for you. One thing I will say. The sad French game, it made me cry so many times. I had taught myself desensitized for all types of feeling, and I feel like it almost got to the point where I needed to hype myself up every single time I started playing. I went back to play the game because I knew that I was going to be extremely sad when I'm playing it. And then you kind of like are already fretting that, oh no, this is gonna make me sad. So you need to hype yourself up to like be in the mindset that, okay, I'm gonna be sad for the next couple of hours while I'm playing this.
Yeah, so like I said, I'm still very early. I might, depending on when we end and what I'm doing for dinner, I might be able to play some tonight.
The Hugo Awards for interactive game or like experience are gonna be intense because Expedition 33, so the sad French game, Hades 2, Silk Song, all came out. Yes, all came out last year.
And we might see Daggerheart, which is the new TTRPG system that the Critical Role folks put out. Like I could see that potentially getting on the short list.
But I'm just saying, there's like it's stiff competition this year.
Oh yeah, this year is going to be a stacked year, and I'm also really excited that it's looking like it's mostly going to be indie games.
Yes.
And because there wasn't really like a big AAA SFF game that came out in 2025.
Did you see all of the during Game Awards when Expedition 33? So for context, Expedition 33 is made by Sandfall Entertainment, which is an independent gaming studio that is formed mostly of old Ubisoft employees. And during the Game Awards, when they were sweeping the categories, there were so many memes about basically like Ubisoft executives watching. They're like getting swept in the awards.
Actually, I don't know if there's any SF like fantasy elements, but Ghost of Yote also came out.
I'm not actually sure if that counts as like SFF. It's historical.
Yeah.
I don't think there were speculative or like
Yeah, and that you know actually what could also make the short list? Date Everything.
Oh yeah.
No, That's a dating simulator, right?
Yes.
It is, and you can literally
where you can date anything in your house.
Yeah, including a toaster.
One.
Including
Okay,
a toaster. I think there was that in-joke where the toaster suggests taking a bath with you.
That's
Yeah,
a
and it's
terrible
also one
idea.
where the voice cast for that game is
stacked.
just stacked. And it's because one of the people who like founded the studio or is like heavily invested, Robbie Draymond, is a voice actor, so he has connections to all these different voice actors.
There's like Jennifer English is in it.
Like
Neil
the cast
New,
of
but like
Critical Role
basically
is all in it.
Basically almost everyone from Baldur's Gate 3 is in it.
And they just have voice appliances?
Yes.
That you date.
Appliances that you date. Including toasters and dishwashers.
Oh, I don't think I would date a dishwasher. Really?
There is like my favorite is the toaster, I think.
Yeah, I have not played it. I know about it. The art is very good. Anyway, so I could also see that getting a nomination.
There is a dating simulator that came out last year that I kickstarted actually, which is kind of an anti-dating simulator. I just want to be single, and it's basically the main character is asexual, and she's trying to like, and she has all of these people who are like interested in her, and she's basically trying to keep these relationships platonic. And it's essentially your goal is not to date any one of these people. You're trying to maintain these people as your friends, but they're all like into you.
That sounds like hell. I would not play that game.
But I do like that there's like different types of games where they try different mechanics. It's like, because the dating sim genre is like oversaturated. Like it is saturated to hell. But yeah, go ahead, Di. I took over.
Oh no, that's basically it. I have not been doing a whole lot. I got kind of sucked into a match 3 game, so I have been listening to audiobooks while playing that. But I am trying to. My goal for February is to finish the Sad French game. That's my goal.
Kelsey, do you want to talk about ice skating?
Well, I have some other media I've watched. not all figure skating, because I visited family over the holidays and watched assorted movies with assorted family members. So over the holidays, I watched 3 movies. The first was Silent Running, which is a science fiction film from the 70s. It's a little odd, very of its time. And then with different family, I watched Godzilla -1, which of the 3 movies I watched is my winner. That is the best one. It was the first Godzilla movie I think I've ever watched. And if other Godzilla movies are that good, I would watch them. I don't know if any other Godzilla movies are that good. And then we watched Elio, the Pixar film that came out this year, which is kind of a mess.
I heard it was a mess behind the scenes.
It shows, because there are moments that are just like these stunning, beautiful Pixar moments, but they are too few and far between. And the plot itself is just like, I had no idea what happened with one of the main characters' plot lines at the end of the movie. Like, there were moments that were beautiful, and then there were a lot of dumb jokes and generic plot beats, and then, wait, is this how it's ending? So it was a very mixed bag for me.
Speaking of Elio,
Yeah.
A short tangent on the Oscar noms. I know Oscars are Oscars. But there was a little bit of a hubbub about the fact that Demon Slayer, Infinity Castle, and Chainsaw Man Reze Arc were not nominated for the Oscars, and Elio was. And I honestly don't understand how anyone thought that either of those movies were gonna be nominated for the Oscars. So I was shocked that people were even mad about it, because I was like, I don't think the studios were putting them up to be nominated in the first place, so why are we mad? But Elio is gonna get completely crushed by K-pop Demon Hunter.
Oh, yeah, there's no way. I do not get it.
Like, yeah, it's like there's not even gonna be competition. It's gonna be K-pop Demon Hunters. Also, Sinners has got the historical record-setting amount of nominations with 16 nominations in
I
the
will
Oscars.
say I will be so mad if Sinners doesn't win any above the line categories.
Yes.
Because I haven't seen one battle after another. I am gonna try and watch more of the Oscar movies than I have in the past. The only one I've seen is Sinners this year. But like, it's just frustrating that WB has kind of not put the same push behind Sinners for acting and directing and screenplay that they have with One
music and I want. Here's the thing: Ryan Coogler should win Best Director at the very least, and Michael B. Jordan should win Best Actor at the very least.
I want
the movie to sweep.
I want Delroy Lindo to win Best Supporting Actor. Like, I think his character, like Delta Slim, was so good. Like, I think he should win. They have to win music. They should win original screenplay. Like, the screenplay was so good.
I'm surprised that Miles Cotton didn't get a nomination because he was also really good. My hope is that Sean Penn and Benicio del Toro like split the one battle after another votes. Anyway, I'm rooting for Sinners. I want Sinners to win because it's so good. Same. I want Sinners to sweep.
Like, I'm so bad about seeing movies in theaters, and I like made sure to see Sinners in the theater.
Yeah, I went 2 times to see it. Yeah. Kelsey, go ahead. I hijacked.
We got distracted.
Go ahead, Elio.
But yeah, I have been mostly like mindlessly consuming hours upon hours upon hours of figure skating competition streams. And that is how I have been coping. The competitions I think that have happened that I watched since our last stream were US Nationals, Europeans, and 4 Continents. 4 Continents just ended. And what to say about all of these? Do we care particularly about one of these more than others? Should I just touch?
Is there drama? Is there delicious drama?
So I feel like we've discussed some of the ongoing figure skating season drama in previous months, but I realized watching US Nationals that one of the big ice dance dramas of the season, ice dance being the discipline with the most drama, that I had not brought up on the streams at all, was the attempted and now sort of failed return of the Shibutanis. So Maya and Alex Shibutani were an ice dance team that competed at a very high level for the US years ago. Like they were last competing like at, gosh, which Olympics was it where they medaled? It was not the last one. It would have been the one.
No, it was 2018 because they got bronze when Virtua Boy won gold.
Okay, so they retired after that, or maybe not officially retired, but they have not competed since then. And they announced this season that they were coming back to competition, surprise. And no one really had any idea what to expect from them because like the rules of the sport have changed a lot since then and since they were competing, and we don't know how well they're trained or what they're looking like. Over the summer, I don't know, was it August, was it September? I don't remember when. There was some footage that was leaked online that someone had filmed at the arena where they were training, where Alex was just yelling at Maya, and it was really horrible. Like he was berating her for her skating, saying, insulting her skating, insulting her intelligence. And she is just standing there looking like completely shut down. And it is really horrible to watch, really hard to watch. It was like a 10-minute long video, maybe. So, yuck. They are siblings. The adult, I say adult, they're adults, but like the adultier adult who was at the boards, like watching them train in that video was, I think, originally misidentified as their coach. I think it was later people thought that was maybe their mother.
Are they
not
siblings?
doing
Yeah.
Oh,
what?
Yeah, the Shibs are siblings.
Yes. So like if that's who that was, their mother like kind of gently tried to interrupt this tirade a couple times in this video and like was not successful at that at all, clearly was not doing anything really to help. And it just felt like, wow, this is horribly abusive. Poor Maya. Dump your brother, skate with someone else. Why are ice dance men so terrible?
because they're men.
And then they didn't do any early season competitions. They showed up at the Grand Prix and did not do well on their Grand Prix assignments. They brought back their old Fix You program for the free skate, and it just wasn't good. And they had no one's rhythm dances are good this year, but they had a rhythm dance that was all right as far as rhythm dances go. 90s rhythm dances.
The rhythm
saw
dance
every
keeps
like, one of
killing
the-
me
And
every
somehow
single time.
someone convinced them between these sort of poor showings at the Grand Prix events and US Nationals that the problem here was that they needed a different rhythm dance. So they showed up with an even worse rhythm dance.
Ooh.
At US Nationals, and it was just very floppy. I think they had mistakes on their twizzles in both the rhythm dance and the free dance, but the free dance, it was really bad, and it was pretty obviously Alex's fault, not Maya's. So who's a weak skater now? Alex Shibutani. Anyways, they were nowhere near making the podium at Nationals, nowhere near making the Olympic team. And like, they got all of these Olympic year brand sponsorships before Nationals because all of those things happen, like Team USA, for Delta Airlines, all those things happen before Nationals. So it's before you actually know who's going to the Olympics.
Yeah.
Wait,
like-
so they were basically expecting them to like
Someone
watch
was expecting them to make the Olympic team this year. And I remember I was flying Delta for 2 of the 3 legs of my Christmas New Year's trip. And like, they were in the Team USA for the Winter Olympics Delta in-flight video thing that was playing on the seat back. I'm like, you're not going to the Olympics if your Grand Prix events were the indication. What are you doing on
I'm
Delta?
surprised anyone thought that they were contenders for the Olympics, given that they've been out of competition for that long.
Ice dance. See, with the corruption in ice dance, anything is possible. And anyways, the Shibutanis are not going to the Olympics. Justice for Maya Shibutani. Get her a new partner if she wants to keep skating. the ice dancers who are going to the Olympics are Chalk and Bates, obviously, Zingis and Kolesnik, who are the newer team who have just been doing incredibly well this year. Like, I've always liked them, but they have just sort of shot up in the rankings this year, seemingly out of nowhere. They made it to the Grand Prix final. Like, they were last in the Grand Prix final, but they made the Grand Prix final, which is like top 6 teams from the Grand Prix internationally. And then Carrera and Ponomarenko, thank goodness, because I like them. But yes, so that is the hopefully the end of the Shibutani ice dance drama for the season was the crash and burn at nationals. Was there anything else at US nationals that was really, really noteworthy? It was pretty obvious going into nationals who the top 3 women would be. It was going to be Amber, Alyssa, Isabeau in some order. They all did really well, and it was Amber, Alyssa, Isabeau. In the men's event, we watched the unfortunate sort of downfall of Jason Brown, which was really, really sad and really hard to watch. He had just a really bad competition out of nowhere, and it was heartbreaking, and he's not going to the Olympics. In pairs, Efimova and Mitrofanov won, but they're not eligible for the Olympics because of citizenship. They did go to 4 continents, and they won 4 continents.
Do you need to have US, like the country's citizenship, in order to represent the country?
For the Olympics. Only for the Olympics. The Olympics is the only competition in figure skating where you need to have citizenship of the country to represent
because
that.
I understand that you can like basically compete under another country's flag.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. For every competition other than the Olympics.
I did not know that. You learn something new every day.
And that was US nationals. And then Europeans is the thing about Europeans and 4 continents, that was these past 2 weeks. So like last week was Europeans, 4 continents is this week. And then the Olympics is coming up so fast that like a lot of the skaters who are going to the Olympics wouldn't be going to 4 continents. And yet I somehow reliably end up, even in this year, an Olympic year when 4 continents is supposed to be a kind of nothing event, I tend to end up enjoying 4 continents more than Europeans. 4 continents is all the other continents, not Europe. There are 5 of them. I don't know why we're calling them 4 continents when there are 5. But the thing about 4 continents that I tend to really enjoy every year is that inevitably there are skaters who like got the 4 continents assignment after not getting the world's assignment, not getting the Olympic assignment if it's in the Olympic year. They get the 4 continents assignment because they placed like 3rd to 6th, the US or Japanese nationals. And they go out and they just absolutely, kill it and have the greatest a moment. And that was what happened for Yuna Aoki in the women's event. Rachel watched the women's free skate with me. We had fun. I was just like so happy for Yuna Aoki when winning the women's event. She is like a skater who has not gotten those big international competition assignments from the Japanese Skating Federation, and this was all the big happy feelings. And that's sort of what I watch Four Continents for, is like the big happy feelings for the skaters that are a little bit down in the rankings, maybe not going to Worlds, maybe not going to the Olympics, but seize this opportunity and do something spectacular. I was really happy.
Speaking of figure skating,
Yes.
I have some. There was a meme running around because it's 2026. World is burning, and people are obsessed
I saw that
about a Russian athlete getting it on with a Japanese athlete, and it was 2016, and the world was turning to shit, and there was another show with similar premise. What's Yuri on Ice?
Yeah. I'm gonna have to head off like in the next 10 minutes because it is almost 2 for me and I haven't had lunch.
Yeah, it's almost midnight for me, so.
Yeah, that was probably all of the skating we needed to talk about. I don't think we need to talk about, well, yeah, I don't think we need to talk about anything else about Europeans or Four Continents.
But I do enjoy all the ice dancing scandals, so keep them coming.
The ice dance scandals. Again, I promise I watch all 4 disciplines, but all the drama just happens to go down in ice dance.
I think it's because it's a pair sport.
Well, the drama doesn't happen in pairs. It's only ice dance. I mean, there is drama in pairs, but like not to the extent that there's drama in ice dance. What is it, my girl? What is it, my cute girl?
What is happening?
Meow?
All right. Do we have any other media stuff to talk about?
I can very quickly mention that I watched a classic because I was bored.
Mm.
I watched 4 Weddings and a Funeral, and everyone in that movie is terrible.
Yep.
Like all of the people in that movie, they are terrible, absolute terrible people. I don't really understand why I was supposed to be rooting for any single one of them. All of them are awful. I'm like, you deserve each other. That's pretty much it. Like it's not a romance, it's a tragedy. But it's marketed as a romance.
Kind
But
of
for
like
me-
Wuthering Heights.
Yeah, actually, now that you mention it, it's like it feels more of a like that movie is where if you show that movie to someone with the idea that I am selling the concept of marriage to a person, you will probably end up making those people be like, yeah, I'm never getting married. But yeah, that was it. Young Hugh Grant was cute though. I can say that. Yeah. Rhea wanted it to be 4 funerals and another funeral. That would have been preferable. Yes.
Yeah. All right. Well, we should probably wrap up so that some of us can go eat or sleep. Necessary functions of
both.
life. Do you want to quickly go around and tell people where they can find us in the interim before our next live show? I will go first, I guess. I am mainly just in these live shows. I am on Blue Sky and I am on Instagram if you wish to see my almost non-existent updates there. Kelsey?
I'm on YouTube. I'm
Sorry.
Fancy Hat Lady Reads. I'm on Blue Sky. I'm on Mastodon. Those are probably my top 3 places right now. Occasionally, Sunshine is on Instagram, and I'm not really posting on TikTok right now. So, sorry if you were following me there.
Di?
I'm mostly on Blue Sky at Bookish Die. I am somewhat on Instagram, also at Bookish Die, and then ideally I'm gonna start filming some stuff for YouTube, so you can find me at Bookish Die there.
And I'm Reija. My channel is Gesundheit Dai.
Thank you.
My channel is the Bookfinch, where we'll be seeing each other in February when I will be hosting the next live show. We'll let you know the date when we know the date. Otherwise, I think you can follow me on Storygraph if you want. I'm not on Goodreads anymore, so I am at Storygraph as the Bookfinch.
Cool. And yes, we will be on Reija's channel next month. We will let you know the dates when we know them, which is sometimes not until the last minute, but anyway.
Yep.
All right, with that, we'll say goodbye. Thank you everyone for joining us on this very cold day. Stay safe if you are also dealing with Snowmageddon or, you know, the horrors. And we will... Oh! Last cat sighting!
We got all of them! We got all of them!
That is a good note to go out on.
Yes.
All right. Bye, everyone.
Bye.